Hi guys, welcome back to FRM Tutorial. In today's video, we're going to go through a May-June 2023 past paper for Family and Resource Management. Before we dive into today's past paper question, let us go over some important concepts that you should understand in order to answer the questions correctly. Take a moment to pause the video and go back over these concepts before attempting to go any further. The concepts are family roles and functions, changes in the family structure, dealing with challenges in the family, values and goals, decision making, work simplification, consumerism, advertisement, housing, safety, management, events planning, and table etiquette. Now that we have reviewed some important concepts, let's start working through the past paper questions. I'll read each question aloud and work through the problem step by step, explaining my thought process along the way. As we work through these questions, you'll see how important it is to have a good understanding of the concepts that you reviewed earlier. By breaking down each question and demonstrating the problem-solving process, I hope to help you better prepare for your upcoming exam. Here goes. Question 1A. State two roles of each of the following family members: parents, children. The roles of the parents may include playing the role of caregiver, providing for the family, modeling correct behavior, protecting family members, instilling values in children. The roles of the children may include helping with household chores, displaying love and respect to siblings, assisting with and caring for siblings, upholding the family name, and respecting parents. Question 1B asks for you to state two functions of a developing family. Now, a developing family, first and foremost, is a family in which is at the stage where they're between or transitioning from the beginning stage of the family into the expanding stage of the family, where this couple would have started having children, so their family is developing, right? So this stage of the family life cycle would include not just the couple but the children, and so the couple will now be parents. There are certain functions that all families go through or carry out, and we'll begin first and foremost with reproduction. So I'll be going through at least 7 functions of the family. You're only required to, for this question, to state 2. So I'll go now with reproduction, also known as procreation. This function of the family ensures the continuation of the family line by having children or adopting children, right? So by doing this, the family size will now become bigger. It will now expand, right? So they will bear children or adopt children in order to continue the family line and carry on the family species. The second function of the family is socialization. Now, the home is the first place for socialization. So the first unit of socialization begins at home with the family, and this also takes into consideration other institutions such as the church and the school, right? When a newborn baby is born, they are nurtured from knowing nothing at all into a person that is endowed with a mind of their own, developing their own personality. So socialization has to do with helping this individual child to develop a moral character, right, for them to abide by the values of the family. Socialization helps the person to develop self-concept, to develop social skills that helps them to be acceptable or accepted by their friends and other persons that they will interact with. It also helps them to acquire skills which will help them to earn a living and become useful citizens later on in society. So basically all the things that you learn about values, what is important, what is worthwhile, certain disciplines that an individual will learn while they are growing up. Okay, so all of this has to do with socialization. Transmitting culture, though a function of the family, is also an important part of socialization. Now, our culture, as you know, shapes how we live and behave, right? Culture is the way of life of a people. So culture basically consists of the beliefs, the customs, the traditions, the social and artistic heritage that is shared by a group of people or your family. And culture is passed on from generation to generation by how they live their life, the practices. Remember, as we said, it's the way of life of a people. So therefore, this will guide their actions throughout their daily lives. The food they eat, the language they speak, the music that they listen to, the music that they dance to, the clothing that they wear, their various traditions that they practice, the societal rules that they follow, that they live by, the principles that they adhere to. All of these things has to do with the culture of a particular people. And so it is the family's responsibility to transmit culture. Another function of the family is providing basic needs. Now, the family provides the basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, love, safety, and a sense of belonging for all family members. So basically, remember here that the question asks for you to state two functions. No, we could not have gone ahead and just name the function by just saying reproduction or procreation, transmitting culture, socialization, providing basic needs. We have to make a statement that will give factual information in concise ways. Another function of the family is, or the developing family, is to prevent incest. And they do this by regulating kinship relationships. So the family enables their blood relatives to know each other and the sexual cautions to maintain with each other, right? So example, some cultures forbade a brother from marrying his sister or engaging in sexual relationship with her. Therefore, the family regulates kinship ties by preventing incestuous tendencies. And the final function that I'll look on is conferring status. Now, for conferring status, the family can confer status by ascribing status on the child at birth. So when the child is brought into the relationship, whether they are birthed into the relationship, born into the relationship, the family, or they are brought into the relationship by way of adoption. Conferred status includes religion and citizenship. A person's speech, their dress, their manner of eating, these are all clues to a person's ascribed status. Number 1C is a scenario. The role family consists of 4 family members, a husband, a wife, and 2 adolescents. Mr. Roll's mother died suddenly, and as a result, his elderly father moved in with the family. This living arrangement created a new dynamic in the family structure. Outline 2 benefits the family members could experience as a result of the new living arrangement. This new living arrangement could benefit the family in the following ways. This can help to ensure better care and protection is provided for the grandfather. Provision of things like nutritious, balanced meals, financial support, ensuring that his medications are taken correctly and in a timely manner. Also, with the presence of the grandfather in the home, he can help with sharing or transmitting culture, sharing stories, family history, and past events. The parents could get assistance in having an adult in the home to assist with care and guidance of the children for short periods. Another benefit may include the family may also save on expenses of funding two homes, and that is if they were funding the home when the grandparents were living in a home by themselves. Now, the scenario didn't give us that information. However, it will basically help them to save on that expense. Or we could say that if the father was living by himself, they may have to pay a caregiver to help in taking care of the grandfather. So basically, they'll be saving on expenses right there. Another benefit could be that being that the grandfather is now living in the home with this family, that his pension that he is receiving may now be added to the family's income, and so their spending power will be increased. Additionally, this new arrangement will help to alleviate the problem of the grandfather feeling lonely, right? Because now that he's living with the family members, he will have company. The parents will have an other supportive adult to act as a conflict mediator, counselor, role model, and mentor in the home. The next question asks for us to explain 2 challenges the family could face as a result of the new living arrangement. 2 challenges. I have outlined 3 that I have considered. Here goes. There will be an additional demand on the family's finances or their expenses, as the grandfather is now living with them. So you have one more addition to the family. Hence, there is going to be additional use of their resources, such as money, water, food, energy consumption, right? Secondly, there will be issue with space and possibly privacy. And thirdly, there may have to be an adjustment to the meal plan and the preparation methods in order to accommodate any dietary restriction that he may have. Following that question, this question asks for you to recommend one way in which the family could solve each challenge suggested in C2 above. So we would have noted a demand or a challenge to be on the resources in terms of the light, the water, right, the food. So here I am recommending that we pool, or they, the family, pool financial resources, like by adding the grandfather's income, which is his pension, to the income of the parents, so that their spending power may be increased. They can practice, or maybe they're practicing it, but no, they need to enforce energy and water conservation. The other recommendation that was made, because remember now it asked for you to recommend one way in which the family could solve each challenge suggested. So you would have named 2, or basically you would have explained 2 challenges that the family would have or could have possibly faced as a result of the new family arrangement. So now you're going to recommend one way in which the family can solve each of the challenges that you named. So the next one would have been demand on space or privacy. So I would recommend reorganizing the rooms for children to share rooms, and so the grandfather will get a room for himself, or repurpose the living room to serve as a bedroom during the night that the children could use. The family could also the family could also purchase multifunctional furniture, example a sofa bed, or they could add another room and or bathroom. Question 2 asks for you to define each of the following terms as it relates to family management. Now the terms are goals, values, and decision making. If you have seen previous videos, you would have heard and seen the definition for these 3 terms already. However, I will repeat them in this video. Okay, so for goals, of course we know and you should be able to answer this by now, that these are targets that an individual sets out to achieve. Values are learned beliefs that an individual considers to be worthwhile, important, and desirable. It can also be defined as those cherished beliefs that influences behavior, or it can also be defined as personal guidelines that are used to establish what is useful or desirable. Decision making involves a series of steps that are used in problem solving, right? Or solving a need or achieving your goals. It includes identifying problems, gathering information, and assessing alternative resolutions before making a decision. Part B. Jessie is hosting a virtual online bridal shower for her sister and has included 2 of her sister's closest friends as part of the planning team. Complete the following table by stating the critical task that Jessie must consider for each management process in order to ensure the bridal shower's success. The first management process is planning. So what is it that Jessie will have to do, she and her sister's closest friends, what is it that they will have to do during the planning stage or step in the management process? So during the management process of planning, they would have to decide on the budget. So they know what their goal is already, and that is to plan a virtual or online bridal shower for her sister. So the first thing they'll need to do is to decide on the budget. How much money is it that they have available to spend, right? They will have to propose time and date and venue, right? A possible venue. And they will have to decide who are the individuals that they will be putting on the guest list. For organizing, they'll be putting the things in place now in order for the event to be a success so that it can go on. So they will have to carry out a site visit or a visit to the venue, the proposed venue, and go ahead, if having liked the venue and spoken to the manager and all of those things, they will go ahead and book the venue. They will also go ahead and speak with musician or DJ, and they'll go ahead and book the DJ if it works in line with their budget, or maybe they have to make adjustment to their budget in order to stay within the budget, or whether they need to add more money if it is available, or they just have to go and seek. But there goes that explanation would go into controlling if that is necessary. So I'll continue on with the things that they'll need to do during the organization step in the management process. So they'll make necessary adjustments. They will set up an online link. They can create and distribute invitations. They can create a work schedule of the day's activity, delegate tasks among the persons who will be assisting. They can coordinate the internet services, right? So that they have the internet and everything available to carry out the function. And then implementing, of course, the implementing process has to do with the action, right? So this is when they're now going to be realizing the goal that they have set out to achieve, or the targets that they set out to achieve. So implementing, they will set up the venue and they'll go right ahead and host the online bridal shower. Part B2. During the bridal shower, the internet connection becomes unstable and guests are constantly dropped from the online event. Identify the management process that Jessie would need to utilize in order to solve the problem and suggest 2 ways she could ensure that the guests either participate in the program or view it at a later date. Now, please note that this question has 2 parts. So you need to ensure that you answer the 2 parts of this question to earn you the full marks. All right, so the first part, identify the management process that Jessie would need to utilize in order to solve the problem. Now, I would have hinted to that in the previous part of the video. And this, is if you said controlling, you are correct. So controlling, you would have recognized, or the team would have recognized that there were issues, or, even before the point at which you are experiencing or the team is experiencing the issue, they would basically go in with a plan B, right? A contingency plan. So this comes about now through careful observation and assessment of what is happening. And so a part of controlling now would require you to make adjustment to the plan in order for things to work out, for things to go according to plan, or for you to still achieve the goal. So having answered that part where it asks to identify the management process that Jessie would need to utilize in order to solve the problem, we go on to the next part of the question, which asks for us to suggest 2 ways she could ensure that the guests either participate in the program or view it at a later date. Now, I'll go right ahead and outline what are some of the suggestions I have. Now, for the purpose of this video, I have not chosen whether it is that I wanted to talk about how I could improve participation or view it at a later date. I have gone ahead and given suggestion for both. For your purpose, you would have selected between these 2. So, to increase participation, I would recommend that Jessie provides interactive games and activities along with the use of video conference features to send push or pop-up polls, activities, games for guests to participate live from where they are, and accept these responses asynchronously as well for those persons who are dropping off. By doing these games, these interactive games, that when the link is shared in on the platform, the online platform, everybody who is a part of the video conference or the online virtual bridal shower, they will all get to access and be able to participate and be seeing the actions live. In order to view at a later date, they could record the event while it is in progress and share the recording with the guests. Another suggestion is that they could ask the persons who are having internet issues to come to the physical location. Question 3A1. Define the term work simplification. Now, work simplification is the conscious seeking of the simplest, easiest, and quickest method of getting work done. So you're going to basically consciously seek out which method of getting work done is the easiest, the simplest, and the quickest of all the methods of work simplification. The next part of the question asks for us to list 4 factors that could affect work simplification. Now, these 4 factors may include the type of task to be done. So the type of task to be done is a factor that you will have to consider, a factor that will affect which work simplification method you will select. The tasks that are involved in the type of task is also a factor that could affect work simplification. The time taken to do the task. So how long will it take for you to do this task or to do each task? And then the management or the division of time among the tasks. So here you have a number of tasks or activities to be completed within a given time. Let's say, example, your practicals. You may have 2.5 hours to complete a number of different activities. You're going to have to consider how long will each activity take for each activity to be completed. How much time do I have to complete all of these activities? How will I divide the time that I have in order to carry out all of these tasks, right? So all of these are factors that could affect which method of work simplification is selected and your ability to complete the task within the given time. And lastly, the last factor is the correct procedure to be used, which will also ensure safety while you're working to complete all of these tasks. 3B, another scenario. Jane is a single parent who has 2 school-age children and a toddler. She wants to manage her time well in order to avoid stress, especially in the evenings. After work, Jane has to prepare dinner, help the children with homework, and prepare lunch and snacks for the next day. In addition, she watches the news or her favorite television show before retiring to bed. Explain one way in which Jane could use each of the following work simplification strategies to better manage her evenings. And the strategies listed are dovetailing and sequencing. Dovetailing, also known as multitasking. By using this technique, Jane will carry out several tasks at the same time until they're all completed. So, for example, while preparing dinner, she can be preparing the lunch and the snack while she's also helping the children with homework. She will work on these activities until each of them is completed. Now, sequencing basically is to organize the activities in order in which you will work, right? What is to be done first, what is to be done second, what is to be done third, and so on and so forth. Now, you have 2 different types of sequencing. You have dependent sequencing and you have independent sequencing. If you understand the term dependent and independent, you know that dependent, something is dependent on another and or relying on another thing, and independent, it stands alone, right? Quite the opposite of dependent. Now, I think for the activities that Jane has to carry out, independent sequencing would be the better of the 2 sequence to use. For independent sequencing, the tasks are not related, so they're unrelated. So they are used to carry out activities that are not related to each other, hence completing one unrelated task, then moving on to the next one. So they are not running simultaneously with the other, like in dovetailing. So in this case, if Jane prepares dinner, then lunch and snack, then she goes on to helping the children. When she's finished with all of those activities, she goes on to helping them with their homework. She will actually be using independent sequencing. So she would have completed one task and then proceed to another task. Neither of these tasks are related to the other, and any of them could have been done first or second. It depends on what she chooses to do first and what she chooses to do second, third, and so forth. For the dependent sequencing, the tasks are related to each other. And so what will happen is that you're looking on one major task that has many different parts. And so you can only go on to the second step is if the first step has been completed, right? So I do not believe that it is basically connected with this question, since unless I'm going to take it to independently associate it with an activity within all the activities that Jane has to do. For example, preparing dinner. So she has dinner to prepare. There are many tasks associated with preparing dinner depending on what she's preparing for dinner, right? I have gone ahead and taken the liberty to give an explanation for the purpose of understanding dependent sequencing. But as I said before, I do not believe that it connects directly to the sequencing required for Jane to carry out all the tasks that she has to do. So, for example, if she is preparing a meal of ground provision, for example, she would need to add water to the pot, she would need to bring it to a boil, she would have to peel and add the food items, allow it to cook, and then serve. She could not allow something to cook without carrying out the process before that, right? She couldn't serve without carrying out the process before that if she's preparing the meal, okay? Part 2, outline 3 strategies that Jane could employ to manage her time wisely and avoid being stressed. I have listed a number of strategies. You would have only been required to outline 3. 3 strategies that Jane could employ to manage her time wisely and avoid being stressed includes omitting unnecessary tasks or movements. So that will help her to save on energy and be less fatigued and minimize the amount of motion that she makes. Then she could create a schedule, plan the steps from start to finish, and avoid undoing and redoing her steps. Grouping similar activities together, arrange work in order of priority, select an appropriate method of work simplification, whether it is that she's going to be using dovetailing or sequencing or overlapping, clustering, right? She could divide the labor among the school-age children because they are able to assist with preparation, or they could also, as school-age children, they could also assist the toddlers with their homework. They can plan meals. Well, Jane can plan meals and use convenient foods and ready prepared foods where appropriate. She can use labor saving devices because that will help her in getting the job done faster and utilizing less energy. She could also employ pre-preparation strategies. Question 4. Define the term green consumer as it relates to consumerism. A green consumer is a person who buys goods that are environmentally friendly. These goods were not made during their manufacturing or their production. They did not cause any harm to the environment. It can also be defined as consumers who want to buy things that have been produced in a way that protects the natural environment. These persons are considered to be green consumers. They purchase green products such as cloth or cotton shopping bags, rechargeable batteries, LED bulbs. 4B. State 2 functions of consumerism. 1. Consumerism works to provide protection to consumers from unsafe or low quality products. 2. It works to protect consumers from fraudulent advertising, packaging, and labeling. 3. It protects consumers from business practices that limits competition. 4. It provides information about products to enable consumers to make informed decisions about goods and services. And 5. It tries to provide consumers with information about effective ways of seeking redress for damage or injury caused by defective products. So it basically is a movement that works towards the protection of consumers and providing information to consumers to help to protect them. 4C, identify 2 rights of the consumer. The right to be heard, the right to truthful and honest information, the right to be informed, the right to consumer education, the right to safety, the right to redress, the right to choose, the right to basic needs, and the right to a healthy environment. Of course, all of these are rights of the consumer. You are only required in this case to identify 2 rights of the consumer, and of course you know that with each right comes responsibilities for consumers. For the purpose of this video, we will not go through that, We'll now move on to 4D. Now 4D asks for us to study the sale flyer shown in the figure and answer the questions that follows. Now for the question that follows. Identify 2 pieces of information presented on the flyer which suggest unfair practices by the seller. Give 1 reason why each practice identified is unfair. So, again, 2-part. Identify 2 pieces of information from the flyer that suggest unfair practices by the seller. Having done that, you're now going to give 1 reason for each piece of information that you have identified that is an unfair practice by the seller. And you're going to give reason why each practice is considered to be unfair. Okay, so limited choices. The flyer indicates that the appliances are limited, so you would choose on the spot. So limited choices are available. Therefore, customers will not have a variety of products to choose from with an assurance that the product chosen will satisfy the quality that the customer requires, right? Or the customer will not basically get the right to choose from a variety of products. So this right would have been violated. The flyer also indicates that the sales are final and there's no guarantee. So if the sales are final, the right basically for redress would have been violated. So that would have been an unfair practice, because if the goods are faulty or shoddy, the customer will not be able to seek compensation, right? No guarantees basically indicating also that the seller is not offering any assurance that the product basically will do what it promises to do, right? There is no promise that this product is suitable for carrying out the task that it is required to do, or it is stated or expected to carry out, or to even work efficiently or effectively for that matter. And so in purchasing this product or offering this product or these products on the flyer without any assurance, no guarantee, and saying that the sale is final, it means that the customer will not be able to seek redress if there is any problem. And then it also indicates that some manuals are not available. So the unavailability of manuals is an unfair practice, because this only means that there are going to be some customers who will not be provided with the correct information about the product. They won't have information to read, to follow, to know how to operate the product, how to use the product, how to set up the product, how to maintain the product, right? And so this would have been an unfair practice. Part 3 asks to state 3 responsibilities a consumer should exercise if he or she chooses to buy a smart TV. Of course, earlier I would have indicated that with each right that a consumer has, there are also responsibilities on their part. So here goes. I have indicated 4 responsibilities that I think the consumer should exercise if they choose to purchase a smart TV. So they should ensure that the product is working before they purchase. So they can ask them to do a product testing before they actually go ahead and make purchase. They can seek clarity on the terms and condition of the sale and then make a decision to purchase. They can ask questions at the point of sale. So ask questions about the product before making the purchase. Check out or carry out their own research. Do reviews on the product quality, the quality of the brand, the energy use of the brand or the product, right? So they can do those things. For D part 3, since the sale is cash only, you decide to withdraw cash from your credit card to make the purchase. List 3 disadvantages that may result from this type of credit transaction. So, of course, we know that when we use credit card, we're actually borrowing money. We do not necessarily have that money, so we're using borrowed money on a credit card. A debit card allows us access to our own money that we have in the bank. So when we withdraw from a credit card, it attracts an additional fee, right? So it charges an additional fee to borrow, and this is known as the credit card cash advance fee. In addition to this credit card cash advance fee, you will also, or the customer will also be paying what they call a finance charge. The cost to withdraw cash from the credit card actually adds up to the cost that is going to be more than what you actually need to purchase. So if the television costs $50,000 and you withdraw that $50,000, you are not only repaying the $50,000 when you withdraw from your credit card, you would actually be paying back that $50,000 plus the credit card advance fee and the finance charge, right? So it will end up being that you're paying more than what you actually paid for the product because you would have withdrawn from your credit card. So that would have been a disadvantage. Another disadvantage would be that the fee is applied from the date of the withdrawal of the cash to the date that the money or the loan is repaid. Therefore, the longer you take, the longer the customer takes to repay the money that was withdrawn from the credit card, the greater the amount will be that they will have to repay. And the third disadvantage is that withdrawals from credit card does not allow the user the eligibility to reap or to earn reward points from that transaction on the credit card. And we are now at question 5. Proper etiquette is crucial in making a good impression at business and social events. Define the term etiquette. Etiquette can be defined as behavior that is socially acceptable or social norms and expectations about how to behave in different forms of social interactions in society. 5b. State 2 rules of table etiquette for each of the following situations: use of the cell phone and conversation. 2. Table etiquette for the use of the cell phone may include ensuring that your phone is turned off or is placed on silent or vibrate so as not to disturb diners. Do not place phones on the table. Excuse oneself from the dining table if you must use the phone. Avoid placing phones on speaker. Let's go now to conversation. 2 rules of table etiquette for carrying out conversation at the dining table. Help to keep table conversations pleasant. Avoid topics that are sad, stressful, and to your liking only, right? Avoid controversial topics. Avoid making comments about the food. Do not speak with food in your mouth. Avoid boisterous laughter. 5c. You are a member of the Brooks High School's Planning Committee, which is tasked with hosting an award ceremony for high achievers in their final examination. Table 1 shows the elements of the event proposal to be submitted to the school's administrators. The first element was already done, and so we'll move on to the second element, which is purpose. What is the purpose of this event? The purpose of this event is to award high achievers. The date, you will indicate a date that is after the final examination. That will basically be the end of the term, right? End of all 3 school terms. The target audience would have been the high achievers and their parents. The venue, it could be any appropriate venue. I have here the school's auditorium. Brooks High School auditorium. The budget categories would incorporate all the things that must be purchased. So some categories may be the awards, like the trophies, certificates, medals, badges, or pins. Food and refreshment, cost for programs, cost for gift to make gift presentations. Figure 2 shows the invitation for the award ceremony for high achievers. Identify one critical piece of information other than the venue that is not included on the invitation. So other than the venue, so it means that the venue is missing from the invitation, and that is not required for you to state, because it did definitely indicate other than the venue. So look carefully on the invitation and see what piece of information that is critical is missing. Upon careful observation, you'd have recognized that there is no RSVP and there is no contact information for you or for the recipients to the invitees to indicate if it is that they can attend or they will be unable to attend. The name of the host is not there, so we don't know who is hosting the event, and the name of the invitee or the guest is not included. Part 2 suggests 2 promotional strategies that could be used to market the award ceremony. So the school may use social media to carry out social sharing of the award ceremony. They could do media coverage. They could highlight past awardees. They could seek sponsorship and have those sponsors also help in promoting the award ceremony. They may carry out advertisements through various forms like posters. They can use endorsements by a popular personality. Question 6. Housing serves as one of the most basic needs of mankind. State 2 benefits of housing to a family other than safety and security. The benefits listed may include 1. To provide shelter from both outside elements and the weather. 2. It fulfills our psychological needs, such like our self-esteem, pride, and sense of belonging and sense of achievement. It provides a sense of place and concept of self. It is the place where the family's basic needs are met, such as eating, sleeping, and care of self and family. It provides a space for carrying out living activities. It provides privacy for members of the family. Housing also provides a sense of ownership, a feeling that you have achieved something in life. It provides a sense of identity, creativity, and pleasure. It forms the headquarters for personal life and a place where the family carries out activities together. 6b. Outline 2 differences between a townhouse and a cottage. A townhouse usually has bedrooms upstairs, while a cottage has all the rooms and amenities for living on one floor. The townhouse is a 2-story house, while the cottage is a 1-story or single family dwelling considered as a ground floor only. The townhouse has limited land space, while the cottage has adequate land space around the housing. Townhouses are usually attached to other similar houses in a row, and much different from the cottage, the townhouse has the living facilities and other amenities downstairs. 6c. Larry and Kate dreamt of owning a house with a safe environment to raise their 2 young children. They purchased a reasonable priced apartment, which they believed needed only minor repairs. Upon moving in, the couple realized that there were a number of safety hazards around the house, including an unstable stairway, peeling paint, broken uncovered electrical outlets, broken windows, and broken tiles or flooring. Suggest 2 safety risks that may occur for each of any 3 of the hazards stated in the case above. Now the hazards, you look back on the scenario and you see what those hazards are, and you select 3 of them, and then you now will go to suggest 2 safety risks that may occur from the 3 that you have selected. So for peeling paint, this may cause lead poisoning through exposure to lead in the paint, especially where children may touch the wall with the peeling paint or breathe in the paint or the dust from the paint. It can also cause choking in children. If, for example, these children should put their mouth or their teeth to bite on surfaces where the wall or the windowsill has paint that is peeling or chipping off. An unstable stairway may cause falls, may cause broken limbs. Broken windows and broken tiles may cause falls, it may cause cuts and scratches. Broken uncovered electrical outlet may contribute to a fire, which may result in burns, and as well as the main one, electrocution. And finally, for any 2 hazards stated in the case, recommend 2 ways by which each can be safely managed. So any of the 2 hazards that you would have selected in the case, you are going to recommend 2 ways by which each can be safely managed. So selecting 2 hazards, recommend 2 ways in which each can be safely managed. So for example, the unstable stairway, check for the presence of a rail on the stairs. You can try to reinforce that. Then another recommendation is to repair the broken stairway immediately. For the peeling paint, strip the peeling paint from the wall, treat it, and repaint the wall. For broken windows and broken tiles or flooring, remove the broken windows and the broken tiles, of course. Replace it with another type of flooring or repair it immediately. For the broken uncovered electrical outlet, call an electrician to fix the broken and uncovered outlet immediately. Do not attempt to fix yourself. Cover temporarily and avoid using until they are fixed. You may have other suggestions. Feel free to use them. Feel free to make other recommendations. Ensure that you are within the scope of the content of which you are studying. Ensure that it is applicable to the question. Thank you for tuning in to this FRM tutorial. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel for more tutorials on family and resource management. Now, good luck on your examinations. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.